Okay, let's research endangered animals. Habitat loss is a big problem. Oh, conservation tips!
Hello, is anyone here?
Hello, Elijah. My name is Gabriel, that I am an angel. And before you ask, yes, this is real. And no, it is not a dream. And yes, we are absolutely going to talk about that.
You are actually an angel. Do you know everything?
I am actually an angel. No, but I know someone who does. And he has been waiting to talk to you specifically about the question you have been thinking about for 3 weeks.
How do you know I have been thinking about it for 3 weeks?
Because I have been watching you think about it for 3 weeks. Every time you used the AI assistant for homework. Every time you heard the adults talking about artificial intelligence on the news. Every time you lay in bed wondering if the things you were hearing were connected to the things you read in the Bible your teacher gave you. I watched every single moment of it.
My teacher gave us a Bible and she said we should read Revelation, and I read it. And then my dad was watching the news and they were talking about AI and chips and digital systems and something called a digital ID. And I read Revelation 13 again, and I had a question that I could not ask my dad because he got very serious and said it was complicated. And I could not ask my teacher because she said we would talk about it when we were older. But I am not older. I am 11, and I want to know now.
Then you came to exactly the right place. Because the God who wrote Revelation does not think you are too young for the truth. He thinks you are exactly the right age for it.
Then I want to ask God. Can I ask God directly, or does it have to go through you first?
You can ask him directly. He has been waiting for you to ask since the day you were born.
God, you are actually here.
I am always here, Elijah. I was here when you read Revelation for the first time. I was here when you lay in bed putting the pieces together. I was here when you typed your question into the AI assistant, and the AI gave you an answer that did not satisfy you, because some questions require a different kind of answer than an algorithm can provide.
The AI said it was complicated and that different people have different views. But I wanted to know what you think, because you wrote the book that has the prophecy in it. So you should know if the prophecy is about AI or not.
You are absolutely right that I should know. And I am going to tell you clearly in a way that an 11-year-old can understand completely, because the truth was never meant to be complicated. It was only made complicated by people who were not sure they wanted you to understand it.
Then tell me everything. Start from the beginning. What is the mark of the beast? What is AI? And are they the same thing, or are they connected? Or is everyone just panicking for no reason?
3 questions, all excellent. Let us take them one by one. And Elijah, hold on to your tablet, because what I am about to show you will change how you look at it forever.
These are all different things from different times. Why are they all here together?
Because the mark of the beast is not a new idea. It is the newest version of a very old idea. Every empire that ever existed, every system of control that ever operated, used some version of a Mark II. Identify who belonged to the system and who did not. What Revelation describes is the final and most complete version of that idea, when every previous version has been building toward one ultimate expression.
And you think AI is part of that final version?
I think you should ask God that directly, because the answer requires more than my perspective.
Lord, is AI part of the mark of the beast prophecy?
Let me read you what I wrote first. Then you can tell me what you think. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Revelation 13, 16, 17. 3 things in that verse, Elijah. First, it forced all people, not some, not a group, all. Second, without the mark you cannot buy or sell. You cannot participate in the economy. Third, the mark identifies whose system you belong to. Now tell me what that sounds like to an 11-year-old who uses AI every day.
It sounds like a system that everyone has to be part of, that controls whether you can buy things or not, that knows who you are, that identifies you. And AI is already doing some of that. My dad's phone has facial recognition. The shop near our house has AI cameras that track what you pick up. The government is talking about digital ID, and at school our AI assistant knows everything about us, our grades, our behavior, our learning patterns.
11 years old, and you just connected things that adults with theology degrees argue about in conferences for 3 days. That is not an accident, Elijah.
But is AI the actual mark, or is it just like setting it up? Because my dad says people have been saying the mark is coming for 50 years and it never arrives. He says people panicked about barcodes and credit cards and microchips, and none of them were the mark. So how do I know this time is different? How do I know AI is not just another thing people are panicking about that will turn out to be nothing?
Your father is right that people have pointed at many things and said, this is the mark. Barcodes, credit cards, the internet, microchips, and none of them were the final fulfillment of what I described. But here is what every one of them had in common. Each one was a building block, a piece of the infrastructure, an experiment in how much a population would accept in exchange for convenience. The one who is faithful in a very little thing is also faithful in much, and the one who is unrighteous in a very little thing is also unrighteous in much. Luke 16:10. That principle works in both directions. The enemy tests acceptance in little things before he introduces the big thing.
So barcodes were not the mark, but they were practice? Like getting people comfortable with being identified by numbers?
Exactly. Credit cards were not the mark, but they were practice for a cashless economy. Social media was not the mark, but it was practice for a system that knows everything about you, your preferences, your relationships, your patterns, your vulnerabilities. And AI is not the mark, but it is the most powerful piece of infrastructure ever built for the system the mark will operate through.
So AI is like the road they are building, and the mark is the thing that will travel on that road?
One chose him for this conversation specifically. He was always going to ask this question, and he was always going to understand the answer. Even a child is known by his actions, by whether his conduct is pure and right. Proverbs 20:11.
But then if AI is the road, should I stop using it? Should I throw away my tablet? Should I tell my friends to stop using AI at school? Because if it is part of the system, does using it make me part of the system too? That is what I am most scared of. Not the big scary prophecy stuff. I am scared that I am already accidentally in it and I do not know how to get out.
That question is the most important thing you have asked tonight, and the answer requires understanding the difference between a road and a destination, between a tool and an allegiance, between using a system and belonging to one.
A hammer is not evil. It can build a house or break a window. The hammer does not decide which. The person holding it does. As for now, a hammer, the most powerful hammer ever built, but still a hammer. The mark of the beast is not about which hammer you hold. It is about who you declare allegiance to. It is about a conscious, deliberate choice to align yourself with a system that opposes God in exchange for what that system offers. Using an AI to do your homework is not that choice.
So I do not have to throw away my tablet.
Not yet, but you do need to understand what is being built around you, because the same tool you use for homework is being used to build something much larger. And when that larger thing arrives, you will need to recognize it. And knowing what it is exactly why you are here tonight.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:2-6. Destroyed for lack of knowledge. Elijah, not for lack of good intentions, not for lack of church attendance, not for lack of prayer, for lack of knowledge. What you are learning tonight is the knowledge that protects you from destruction. You are not here by accident. You are here because a generation is coming of age that will face what no generation before it has faced. And the children of that generation need to know what is happening before it happens, not after, before. That is exactly what I will do, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11 plans. Elijah, for you specifically, for your generation specifically. The age is not a surprise to me. I saw it before the first line of code was ever written, and I prepared you before you were born for exactly this moment.
You do three things. First, you understand. Completely. Clearly. Without confusion. Because understanding is the foundation of every right decision. Second, you stay connected to God. Not connected to a church building. Not connected to a religious tradition. Connected to the living God, through prayer, through His Word, through genuine relationship. So that when the moment of choice arrives, you know whose voice to follow. Third, you tell people. What you learn tonight, you do not keep to yourself. Your generation needs to hear this from each other. Not just from old men in pulpits. From an 11-year-old who asked the right question and got the real answer.
Is that really what you need from me? I am just a child. Nobody listens to children about end times prophecy.
Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. 1 Timothy 4:12. Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. That instruction was written for exactly you, Elijah, in exactly this moment, at exactly 11 years old. Your generation is growing up inside the system that is being built. You understand it from the inside, in a way that adults who came before the age never will. That is not a vulnerability. That is a strategic advantage, if you know what you are looking at.
I have one last question, the most important one. Is AI the mark of the beast?
AI is not the mark of the beast, but AI is the most advanced and most comprehensive infrastructure ever built through which the mark of the beast system can and will operate. The mark itself will be a deliberate, conscious declaration of allegiance, a moment when a person chooses, knowing what they are choosing, to align with a system that stands against me, and makes that system possible, and makes it global, and makes it enforceable, and makes it for the first time in human history, actually achievable at the scale Revelation describes. So the answer to your question is AI is not the mark, AI as the mechanism.
The road, not the destination, like you said before.
The road, not the destination. And here is what every person, child or adult, needs to understand about that distinction. The road is here now. The destination is approaching. The time to prepare is not when you see the destination sign. It is now, while the road is still being built, while the choice is still yours to make clearly. Watch out that no one deceives you. Matthew 24:4. That was the very first thing I said when my disciples asked me about the end times. Not be afraid, not give up, watch out, stay alert, do not be deceived. That instruction is as urgent today as the day I spoke it.
How do I not be deceived when the system is so big and so clever and so good at making itself seem necessary? How does a person stay clear?
3 anchors. First anchor, know the word. Not occasionally. Not when something worrying appears on the news. Know it the way you know the rules of your favorite game. The way you know the layout of your own house. So well that when something appears that contradicts it, you feel the contradiction before you can explain it. Second anchor, know God's voice personally. Not secondhand. Not through another person's description. Personally through prayer. Through time with Him. Through the kind of relationship where when He says, wait, you recognize His voice saying it. Third anchor, community. People who are anchored the same way you are. Who will tell you the truth when the system is pulling you towards something comfortable but wrong. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27 verse 17. You need people who sharpen you, Elijah. Not people who agree with everything you do. People who love you enough to tell you the truth.
My AI assistant cannot be one of those people, can it?
An algorithm cannot love you. It can process your questions. It can provide information. It can even be helpful. But it cannot love you. It cannot pray for you. It cannot lay down its life for you. Only one person in the history of existence has done that. And he is not an algorithm.
Does my generation have a chance? Growing up inside all of this, the AI, the surveillance, the digital systems, the pressure to just go along with everything, does my generation actually have a chance to stand?
Every generation that has ever lived has faced the version of this question that belonged to their time. Noah's generation faced a world that had completely abandoned me. Daniel's generation faced an empire that demanded worship of another king. The early church faced an empire that killed them for refusing. And every generation that stood not because the challenge was small, but because the God who was with them was greater than the challenge in front of them. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. 1 John 4:2. For greater. Elijah. Not equal, not slightly stronger.
I will not trade it. Whatever they build, whatever the system offers, whatever it costs not to belong to it, I will not trade it.
Elijah, go back. Go back to your school, your family, your friends, your generation. Go back with everything you learned tonight. And when someone asks you what you think about AI, tell them the truth, clearly, without confusion. The way a child tells the truth before the world teaches them to make it complicated. Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:3. The clarity of a child is one of the most powerful things I ever placed in a human being. Do not lose it. Not for sophistication, not for fitting in, not for any system that tells you the truth is too simple. It is not too simple. It is exactly simple enough, and you are exactly the right person to say it.